Those two. Today we're talking about breaking old habits. So we're trying to create new habits, right? So that's what we're talking about today. Is breaking old habits. Let's let a couple people wake up. We just went live. Give us a second. We're gonna start up. Today's episode is about breaking habits. I put the number up there so guys, whoever on it, you get to see, you can call in. We can have this conversation today. We're talking about breaking habits. Guys, run the lights up. Let's get some more people on the live. What? All right. You ready? So we're going to start it up right now. We're talking about breaking habits. Okay. Let Tyler get comfortable. Let's get it. You ready? Yes, we can go over here. All right, we going live right now, guys. We talk about breaking habits. Breaking habits. Hate it. Told you. It's not strong. We're going live in like 2 minutes. We're going live. I gave you guys the phone number to call in today. I think it's 516-2350. 2530? 1150? All right, we going live right now, guys. Let's get it.
Welcome to the Don't Let That Go Over Your Head podcast, starring Q the Boss.
Yo, 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 yo. Welcome back to another episode of Don't Let That Go Over Your Head podcast. They call me Q the Boss. Today we talk about a special topic. Today we're talking about breaking habits. Oh yeah. Today we're talking about breaking habits, guys. A lot of us need to learn how to break our habits. Because you know naturally humans are creatures of habit. And the problem with being a creature of habit, we tend to learn certain habits and we ultimately become our habits. Tons of people are their habits. And we won't see it because we normalize our habits, whether they're good or bad. You can have good habits and you can have bad habits. Would you agree? Right? But in order for you to become your better self, we have to break old habits. Let's talk about this, guys, on the live today. What are some habits that we have that we think we should change? Right? I'm going to go on record and say this. It pertains to last week's episode. And me and my crew was talking about it today. It's sensitivity. Right? A lot of times we talk, we're not allowed to say how we genuinely feel. And when you're not allowed to say how you genuinely feel, you ultimately say what the room is saying. And when you're only saying what the room is saying, you ultimately become what the room is saying. Sometimes we feel uncomfortable saying how we genuinely feel because we're worried about how everyone feels. And that's an issue, right? I've learned it takes 21 days to create a habit and 90 days to create a lifestyle. For those who understand that, let me give you a round of applause. Let me say that one more time, guys. It takes 21 days to create a habit. Let me actually say this right. Some people, it takes 21 days. But the very thick-skulled people, I would say about 31 days, right? A month. 31 days to create a habit. And I would say 90 days to create a lifestyle. If you want to change your ways, give yourself at least 100 days straight of being consistent, right? Some of us are so stuck in our ways we can't see that the ways is stopping us from doing anything great. I've noticed that the people who have the greatest potentials tend to not reach their potentials because they're so caught up in their old habits and their old ways. How do we break old habits? I'm asking this question, guys, and I'm asking you on my live, too. Answer the questions today. You can call in. The number is 516-253-1150. Let me say that one more time. 516-253-1150. I love that number. I'm playing that on lottery tonight. But guys, we having a conversation, right? We created bad habits. A lot of us have bad habits. And we need to understand The same time we've created these habits, it's going to take time to break these habits. We got to learn how to have uncomfortable conversations in order to make ourselves comfortable. The uncomfortable conversations are what allow you to grow. Some people are seeds that haven't been nurtured, and they're planted, but they're not growing because they're not nurturing the seed. In order to nurture the seed, it needs sunlight. It needs water, right? It needs attendance. So in order to nurture the seed, you have to attend to it. There are a lot of people who haven't blossomed into their greatest selves because they're not attending to themselves. They're more so captivated by what other people are talking about and what other people are doing. Ultimately becoming a room. See, when you start realizing that every conversation that you're having is allowing you to stay stagnated. When you're not realizing that yourself is not becoming your greatest self because your conversations aren't enabling you to grow. We must learn to make ourselves uncomfortable. And why is that? Uncomfortable people tend to get the furthest in life. Uncomfortable people, they tend to accomplish the most. When you go in rooms of people telling you can't be great, but yet and still you believe you can become great, ultimately you become great by making yourself very uncomfortable. Let me give you a quick story, right? I asked my boy, we was having a conversation. I said, you know how you know your girl love you? He said, why? I said, your girl was willing to move to a whole nother state for you, right? A whole nother state. It's completely out of her norm. She's like a kind of a country girl based on where she's from, but to come to a city, right, like a New York City, that's extreme. That was making yourself very uncomfortable. So she broke her natural, normal state in order to accommodate the love that she wanted with her man. And I think that's commendable, right? And to me, I give flowers on my podcast, guys. I love to see good things, and I promote positivity. Sometimes I realize that when we talk, we have to make ourselves uncomfortable to have these uncomfortable conversations. The problem is they say bad habits won't create greatness, right? Great habits create greatness. Bad habits are the reason why most people aren't getting anywhere. And it's just the truth. Let's name some bad habits. One of the bad habits is overanalyzing and overthinking. A lot of people overthink life. And the reason why they overthink life is because they're nervous. And they're not around enough people who are telling them that they could do something. So if you're around people who are constantly telling you that you can't, you won't. And the reason why you won't, because you're going to feed the can't, right? You keep feeding it. And as you feed it, the can't becomes stronger. The can't changes from can't to won't and will not, right? Because it started as a small idea of not being able to. The more you give energy to your scariest moments, it becomes like your demon or your quote unquote your nightmare, right? The nightmares is the ones who are scared to try anything new. I've noticed when I first started doing this podcast, and I'm going to tell my testimony, I was nervous. And the reason why I was nervous is because I said everyone is not going to receive me, right? Some people are going to have things to say. But I'm going to tell you something. What I've learned in life, all the greatest people in life get talked about the worst by the people who don't want to see them become their greatest selves. So I've learned to make myself comfortable with having these conversations. Let me ask y'all some questions on this live. I need somebody to call in. 516-253-1150. 516-253-1150. Let me say that one more time. Somebody pin that number. 516-253-1150. I need somebody to call in and talk about bad habits or tell me a scenario how you was able to break bad habits, right? Another way I broke bad habits. There are 3 things I think that keeps you content to who you are, right? 3 things. 1 is the people you're around. 2 is the places you go. 3 is the things you do. People, places, and things. Let me say this one more time. Look at your circle. In the room you were in. And you should not be the smartest in the room. Being uncomfortable is going into rooms with people who know more than you. And let me say that one more time. You got to be willing to go in these rooms. Why? Because these rooms, it's like being a big fish in a small tank. Of course, you're dominating the tank because the tank is very small. But if you want to be small, you will stay in this tank. But if you want to become your greatest self, you have to make yourself uncomfortable, right? So the whole concept of breaking bad habits is the willingness to make yourself uncomfortable. How do you know if you can be a great track runner if you're not willing to go run against people that are faster than you? Most people won't understand that you will match the level of intensity of others if you're around people who are working harder, unless you're extremely lazy. Some people will work harder when they're around people who are working harder. I've learned I started working harder when I got around people who are working even harder than me. Sometimes people say things like they're tired. Some people go to sleep and wake up saying they're tired because they hear it so much that they normalize the word tired. Everything is I'm tired. Some people have normalized the word tired. They say it so much that they believe they're tired even when they're not tired because they say it so much. It's not that you're tired. It's that you're lazy. Let's change the word. You're not tired. You just woke up, right? And if you're tired consistently, that means your body is very malnourished. And if your body's malnourished, that means it's not producing a good energy. It's just like a car's engine. If you're putting bad fuel in your car, of course, it's not going to get the performance levels that it can get. So sometimes, guys, be conscious of what we eat because the eating is going to come back out in our energy. The energy is what we put into our bodies, right? So sometimes let's be a little bit more conscious on what we're eating. Because if you're noticing that you're constantly tired, it could be the fuel you're putting into your body. Let's change this mentality. That's breaking a bad habit, right? To anybody that's lost weight or on their weight loss journey, I want to give you a round of applause, and I want to commend you and encourage you on your journey. It is not easy to change bad habits, especially when you grew up eating very bad. Let's just say this. Most people in the country of America eat a lot of fast food. Fast foods are convenient. We allowed our eating habits to accommodate the convenience. Fast, right? But I'm going to tell you something. The food is what's killing us, honestly. It's killing us. And the reason why it's killing us, look what I just said a minute ago. It kills your energy. It kills your drive, right? And also the conversations that you have, right? These are things that are hurting us, right? We engage in different conversations that's ultimately enabling us to go down further and further and further. We must learn that we have to break bad habits. Let's break bad habits. Let me say another bad habit I broke. I broke bad habits of being conscious of my friends. Initially, my insecurities led me to people that were very insecure, and all we did was feed off of each other's insecurities. By being the power, let me say this word, and I'm going to be honest with you. Who's the strongest, right? So it was a competition of who had the biggest ego, who was the most prideful, right? Who was the most aggressive. This is how a lot of people do. And they put people around them that only fuels this mentality. And I'm guilty as charged. I was around people who only fueled my ego and my pride. I wasn't around a lot of people that told me the truth. And ultimately, the truth became my lie. How does the truth become your lie? The more you engage in foolish conversations, ultimately the conversations become true to the mentality of a person that's keep engaging in foolish conversations. A foolish conversation will make sense to a person that has a foolish mentality. The more you tell a person that has a foolish mentality they're wrong, the more you're wrong because they already have a foolish mentality. A bad habit person will ultimately create new bad reasonings to fail. Simple logic. Let's say I know that I need to study. Some people have a photographic memory. They're blessed. They don't have to study. But if I know that's not my gift, why am I studying to the level of someone that has a photographic memory? I need to do more, right? If I started off in the back of the race, I'm not going to run half speed trying to catch up. I'm going to run full speed. Why? Because I'm behind already. This is bad habits. Bad habits is being unconscious to who you are. You need to know yourself. I don't think a lot of people know who they are. And why I say they don't know who they are is because they'll tell you about their self, and even when you listen to them tell you about their selves, it don't even make sense to you because you don't even see them as the person they say they are. Let me say that one more time. You ever been around somebody that tells you who they are, and when you look at them, you're like, I'm around you a lot, and I don't even recognize the person that you're describing yourself to be? That's a person that's lying to themselves. They're creating a bad habit of lying to themselves. They're going to believe their own madness. That's the problem. Bad habits. We're talking about bad habits today, right? What bad habits do you have? For my people that's on our live today, right? Give me some bad habits. I'm going to name a few bad habits, right? Someone said change your mindset. Change our mindset. I agree 100%, right? Emancipate ourselves from mental slavery, guys. We have to learn how to emancipate ourselves. How do one emancipate themselves? We're mentally in bondage to financial literacy because they're not teaching it. But I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to go on record and say this. Someone's going to be mad with me today, but I like to ruffle people's feathers. I'm good at that. My mother didn't teach me how to have sex, but I still figured it out. Why? Because I was very encouraged to figure out how to have sex. So if that's the case, I can learn financial literacy. The bad habit is me constantly giving myself an excuse to the reason why I'm failing. That's the bad habit. I'm constantly telling myself the reason for me to fail, and I'm giving myself an excuse. That's the bad habit. Again, my mother never taught me how to have sex, but I still figured it out because I was determined. And determination is the reason why a lot of us can get to new levels. How determined are you? If I was so determined to figure out how to have sex, that shows if I'm so determined to figure out financial literacy, I think I could do the same thing. It applies both ways. The metric is the metric, right? And understanding that the metric is the metric no matter how we look at it. Everywhere around the board. If I do the same ambition to be a good father, I'll be the same ambition to be a good friend, I do the same ambition to be motivated, I do the same ambition to be in the gym. That's how the metric should be. The ambition. The same way I was so adamant about figuring out how to do this. And not only do it, but to also be good at it. Right? We're just telling the truth. So I see someone said procrastination, right? So most people don't like, they procrastinate a lot. But here's the thing about procrastination. If you know me, I can be a foot dragger. Most people will never see that because I work hard. I outwork my procrastination. My lazy day is more harder working than most people on their average day. My lazy day, right? Because even on my days I feel like I'm being lazy, so many people are like, man, you got so much done. I don't see it because I've learned to teach myself how to always be a hardworking person, right? I don't even notice it anymore. Hard work is only hard to those who always want to do what's easy. Easy is easy for those who always want to do what's easy. Like hard for me is easy. It's easy. Getting up consistently, going to the gym. My hardest for right now that I'm working on is the consistency of eating good. That's my hardest thing I'm working on. But in my defense, every time you turn on the television, every time you turn on social media, it's pushing nothing but bad eating, right? That's my problem. And I'm a foodie. I'm going to call it what it is. Don't judge me. I am a foodie. I had to say it. That's me breaking one of my bad habits. Today, I'm going on record today with y'all and say, guys, today, I'm going to work on becoming on a strict diet of not eating junk food. I'm pledging something. So I want everyone to pledge on this live. If I'm pledging something, y'all going to pledge with me. We going around the room today. Kinsey, what are you pledging that you're going to stop doing that's a bad habit? I can't hear you. Say it again. Getting 5 hours sleep. So how many hours of sleep you going to start getting? 6.5. So he's going to push himself to sleep more. An hour and a half or more sleep. I'll take that as a plus. Dre, what are you pledging that you're going to do as far as a bad habit that you're going to break? Matter of fact, I want my guys to say it on the mic. Kinsey, come to the mic real quick. Come to the mic. I want you to hear my guys that's in the room. We're going to put them all on the spot today. Kinsey, what is a bad habit that you've noticed that you have to break?
Not getting enough sleep.
Not getting enough sleep. And why don't you get enough sleep?
Because I'm finding work to do.
You're finding work to do. So do you think that's healthy?
No.
Long term, it has effects.
Yes.
So now you're going to work on breaking that habit of sleeping more?
Yes.
How much more sleep will you try to get now?
An hour and a half.
An hour and a half more sleep. 6 hours sound way better than the 5. Let's give it up for Kizzy, guys. Listen. Something as small as him giving his body more nurturing sleep, that's a positive thing. Some people like, oh, it's just sleep. No, sleep is very prominent, right? Your body needs it. It's like recharging your battery, right? It's like your body has to be recharged. Now we're going to bring the next guy to the table. Let's go, Dre. Right? So today I'm asking my guy, Dre. We call him Boss Dre over here at Don't Let That Go Over Your Head podcast. Dre's behind the scenes on everything. Dre, what is a bad habit would you say that you have?
Dragging my feet.
Dragging your feet, which is very prominent for a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
Give me a scenario that you would drag your feet on doing.
Like taking long to do something knowing that I'm supposed to be doing it.
So today, you admitted it, which says that you know there's an issue.
Yeah.
What are we going to do to move forward?
I stopped dragging my feet.
Stop dragging his feet. Guys, let's give it up for Boss Dre. Listen, I think the first step to recovery is admitting that there's a problem. The fact that he can stand and own his truth, that's how you fix it. We're bringing my sister to the table now. We're going to ask her, what is her bad habit? Jessima, what is your bad habit? What do you think is something that you know you need to change?
Making excuses?
Give me a scenario. We're going to get into this. Give me a scenario that you would make an excuse. And that's very common that a lot of people make excuses. Give me a scenario.
Like, we had dishes piling up, and my excuse was, well, like, I'm a teacher, I've been working so hard, I just, like, started break, and I deserve to, like, do nothing and be lazy. But, like, that's not true. Like you said, even on your lazy days, you still get a lot done, and I feel like I just need to be more like that, and, like, you know.
Listen, guys, it is not easy to admit that, right? She sat here and owned her truth, and I'm going to give her flowers. Listen, we're being honest, guys, right? We're being honest. The beauty is when you're able to accept that you need change. Change requires you admitting truth. If you don't accept truth, you can't change. Now I'm calling my guy to the table, right? Mr. Tyler himself, the man, the myth, the legend. Give me something that you know that you have as a bad habit that you need to change.
I would say procrastination and wasting time.
Procrastination and wasting time. Give me a scenario.
Like I know that I'll have a creative project that needs to be done by a specific date, or like something designs need to be out or something, but I'm waiting until the last minute for it to get out, which is a problem because you said before time is your most valuable asset. So it's more so doing it when it needs to get done and just being done with it to move on to the next thing.
So basically, stop putting off things you can do today for tomorrow.
Right.
Listen, let's give him his flowers, guys, because I'm going to be honest with you. I know a lot of people on my live won't admit it. That's probably them. Listen, a lot of people don't know I do drag my feet. And I feel like I dragged my feet with pushing to get the album cover done for my album. And I'm going to tell the truth. We were pushing for first quarter. And also, I felt like I was dragging my feet with putting my foot down to say, guys, let's get the photo shoot done, right? I felt like I dragged it, and I felt like I could have made time for it. One thing about me, an excuse is a reason for losing. And that's how I think about life. I don't make excuses no more because the same excuse that you could make could be the reason why you should be winning. If I can sit down every day and make an excuse, I can give myself 45 reasons on why I should win. So if you can say one bad thing about yourself, I hope that you're saying more positive. Because I'm going to tell you something. This is the truth. Right after loving your creator, which is your God, it should be yourself. And if you love yourself, you want the best for yourself. Look at what I just said to you. Right outside, I don't care who your creator is. You know who they are, right? You know who's your creator, because no matter what you look around in the world, if you take a 360 right now and look around at everything, it was created by something and someone, right? Someone created everything we see. So there has to be a creator. It's impossible to say no. We didn't just spring from nowhere. Someone had to create us. Whether if you think it's your mother, your father, you know you came from somewhere, right? So let's just call it what it is. Outside of your creator, you should love yourself. And a lot of people, I feel like they don't love themselves. And the reason why they don't love themselves is because they're not going to allow themselves to become their better selves, right? In order to become your better self, you got to accept that there's things wrong with yourself. And it's not a bad thing that there are things wrong with it. That just makes you human. Every human has flaws. The problem with the human having flaws is when the human's not accepting that there's issues and they need things to fix. When you stop accepting the fact that you are a student in life and start thinking that you're always the teacher, notice you stay in that same classroom setting. Let me say that one more time. Notice, when you stop becoming a student in life, you start always becoming a teacher. You stay at the classroom that you've allowed yourself to get comfortable in. So if 12th grade was your class, you're stuck in 12th grade. If college was your grade, you're stuck in college. There are people who are not allowing themselves to continuously be students in life. Why is that? Because they allowed themselves to be the teachers in all cases. It's beautiful when you can go in rooms and learn. Right? Let's start learning again. Let's normalizing shutting our mouth sometimes. Let's have this one day and just say, you know what? Today's going to be a day where I shut my mouth and listen more today. Whether it's my mate, whether it's my classroom, whether it's my friends, whether it's my store, whatever it is, I'm going to listen more today. How about we try that? I bet you tend to learn more than you did any other day because of the fact that you have 2 ears and 1 mouth, but yet and still we use our mouth more than our ears. And it's the truth. Allow yourself to get comfortable again, guys, with becoming your greater selves. I've noticed that there are a lot of people that I love to death, and they have so much potential. So much potential. I'm going to go on record and say this. I think Boss Dre is one of the most talented men I've ever met in my life. Ever. And the fact that my brother got on his mic and admitted what's wrong with him, I got to give it to him. I got to give it to him. I think this guy has potential to the moon. My album is fire because of his tracks and all the production he put behind it and also the mixing and mastering that he's done. He's done the podcast. He's done everything that you see is going on with Q the Boss. He's behind everything since the beginning of time. When I started as an entrepreneur, I said, let's get it. And he was there for every step of the way. What I'm trying to say is this, guys. Push your friends and family to be their better selves. If you love someone, telling them the truth is not trying to hurt them. Let's have this conversation. And I want people to hear this on my live. There are 2 types of people that's telling you about yourself. One's that's coming to inflict wounds and one that's coming to heal. When a person is telling you what you don't want to hear, chances are that if they love you, they coming to heal you. In order to heal you, I have to tell you the truth so I can set you free. They say the truth shall set you free. And if I don't tell you the truth, you're still going to be a slave to what you think is wrong. You will always be a slave. A lot of people are slaves to their ways. How are they slaves to their ways, we say? They don't see that they need to change. How do you change when you can't see? Let's put a blindfold on our eyes. Let's start peeking, guys, and start seeing what's wrong with ourselves. A lot of us don't want to do that. Why? Because we're too fearful of what the world thinks. But if you got a strong circle around you, they're not going to exploit you or expose you for your weaknesses. They're going to try to be stronger for you and try to encourage you to swim better, right? Don't jump. When you start learning how to swim, you don't jump in the deep part of the ocean, right? Don't you start at the shallow part and you work your way to the deeper end? And that's what you need to learn how to do again in life. Stop being offensive of constructive criticism. A lot of people are scared of constructive criticism. How do we break these habits? We have to learn how to grow again and start making ourselves uncomfortable to grow. That's being the student in life. Some people say to me, yo, Q, I've noticed something. I said, what? How did you get to where you are? When I start telling them how I got here, and how hard it is, there's a lot of sacrifices and a lot of work. You know what they do automatically? Well, I don't want to do that. That means you don't want to be where I'm at. It's the truth. We're going to have these conversations. Someone call in right now, guys. 516-253-1150. One more time. 516-253-1150. Someone calling right now. I'm taking callers. We having a nice conversation. I want somebody to add to this. I want someone to tell me they're breaking habits today and they're willing to try something new and they're going to make themselves uncomfortable so they can become their greater selves. We're going to say that again. We working on becoming our better selves over Don't Let That Go Over Your Head podcast. It's not a judgment zone. It's a judgment-free zone. But guess what? We got to judge ourselves to fix what's wrong. Let me say that again. This is not a judgment zone. It's a judgment-free zone. But we have to judge ourselves in order to fix what's wrong. I want to say that one more time. Listen to that very well. This is a judgment-free zone, right? But we have to judge ourselves so we can fix what's wrong. We got to judge ourselves. People say all the time that what we should do is stop judging. You got to start judging yourself. You got to start being honest with yourself, right? And not get uncomfortable because I'm not your God and you're not my God. But I need myself to be my better self by the time it's my time to leave Earth. Anybody that want to become their better selves, please raise their hands. Let me get a raise your hand emoji. Anybody want to become their better selves? If you want to become your better self, raise your hand. Raise your hand, right? I want to become my better self. So I'm challenging myself every day to become my better self, right? You have to walk back in those rooms again and be the students and allow yourself those classrooms that you disruptive in, right? What's going on in life is we're in a classroom called life. And we're still disruptive in the same classrooms. That's why we're not learning. A lot of us are still disruptive in the same classrooms called life. And we're disruptive. We don't want to raise our hand when we know the answers because we're scared of what other people are going to think. But I'm going to tell you something. For those who are scared to raise their hands, you need to stop worrying about others because you're trying to be your better self. Some people are comfortable losing. And they're allowing you to lose because they're teaching you methods to lose. You'll never be your better self staying comfortable and worrying about others. You got to make yourself uncomfortable again, guys. You got to make yourself uncomfortable. I've made myself so uncomfortable to the point where I don't care anymore. I would have never, anyone that grew up with me and that knows me, no, I would have never did this podcast. Never. Ever. I lack the confidence of worrying about what others would think about me about talking about something positive. I lack that confidence. And when I get on these lives and I get on my YouTube channel and everything else in between, I'm not uncomfortable to tell my truth anymore. I wake up every day confidently and comfortable because I know who I am now. God has given me a purpose. And I truly believe that a person without purpose tends to just walk life recklessly. When you have purpose, it allows you to find yourself, right? When you find yourself, you tend to make the best decisions. Some people are still making the wrong decisions because of the fact that, they were late to the class. One, they didn't come with a permission slip to go on a trip called life. They still sit in the same classrooms and they're the ones that's being disruptive. They've learned nothing new. They're at the 2023 party still doing the 1988 dances. That's what they're doing. And they don't see that this is the reason why they're losing. Of course it's a dance competition. It's called life. The competition of life is with oneself. It's not competing with other people in the room. It's with oneself. By challenging yourself to be your better self. Never allow yourself to get too comfortable with who you were yesterday when you learned nothing new today. A whole 24 hours that went by and you don't see the purpose of learning something new. That's not good. That means you're not willing to use a fraction of the brain that God has created for you. Some people are literally not using their brain to the magnitude of what they could be at all. I've met some of the most intelligent people who dumb themselves down because they're comfortable going in the wrong places. I met some intelligent people who haven't got to them levels because they're continuously doing the wrong things. And I've met some intelligent people who are not getting to the levels because they're around the wrong people. That's crazy. Your people, your places, and your things. Being conscious to those things. Who you choosing to be around is a reflection of who you are. Show me your friends, I tell you who you are. Isn't that a true statement? You are the people you're around. Because they will rub off on you no matter what you say. Most people aren't secure enough in their skin where they can be the leader in the room. Most people will go into a room full of pigeons and act like a pigeon. most people won't go into a room full of pigeons and act like a duck. They're going to act like what's in the room because they're insecure. That's human, a lot of human nature to be. People behave as to the environment, not realizing that they should be controlling their environment. The environment is not in the physical space you're in, but is in the mental. Your mental space is what's more prominent than your physical space. Allowing yourself to understand that where you are physically, that means you don't have to be mentally. Let me say that again. Understanding where you are physically don't mean you have to be mentally. I'm going to tell you something, and I want everybody to hear this on record. You ever seen a child? And the one thing, everyone, raise your hand if you agree with this. When you were kids, you learn how to block out your parents from talking. Your parents sound like the Charlie Brown thing, the womp, womp, womp. You learn that skill. And that same skill you can apply to life. Listen to this. That skill of blocking out noise in bad environments, you can use that same skill all the way through life. A lot of people don't understand that blocking out the noise is a gift that God has given us all. Everyone can block out noise in the wrong settings. You don't have to hear the negative conversations. The problem is why most people hear the negative conversations is because they want to hear the negative conversations because it makes them feel better about themselves. Insecure people want to hear bad things about people because it makes them feel better about themselves. Insecure people talk about bad about people because it makes them feel better about themselves. When you love yourself, talking bad about people ain't going to do nothing for you. Why do a person want to see devastation, destruction, anger, hate, envy, jealousy? Why would a happy person want to see that when those things are all attached to something negative? Jealousy, a negative. Hate, negative. Envy, negative. If we keep going, give me some more, guys. It's a lot more we can say. But those things are all attached to negativity. How do one learn that these things are attached to negativity? I'm going to tell you guys on record, I want to say something. You will never become your greatest self by staying in the wrong environments. You will never become your greatest self by doing the wrong things. You will never become your greatest self by being around the wrong people. People control your outlook on life. I'm going to tell you why. Here's a conversation. I'm going to give you the 3 examples. I'm in an environment. This is places. I'm in an environment. In this environment, somebody says to me, yo, Q, I think you could. No, I tell them I want to be great. And I want to do something great with my life. Some people will say something like this. I don't think that's going to work. And what happens is you give the energy to the pack that the person told you it won't work. They allowed you to believe it. That's the place. That same mind of a person telling that you can't do it, if you take that same individual and put him in a space where 100 people are telling him he can, I bet you he'll have a higher chance of succeeding. They say the worst shot in life is a shot that you never take. The most confident shot is Steph Curry. He shoots the ball, and before it even go in, he's running down the court, expecting it to go in. That's what we need to learn how to become in life, Steph Curry. Shoot our shots in life and expect it to go in even before it goes in. If you know you trained as hard as you can and gave your all, you should be comfortable knowing that shot's going to go in, right? I'm going to tell you guys something on record. When approaching a female, guys, women love confidence. Confidence is the most sexiest thing a woman could see. You could look like Shabba Ranks, but walk around with confidence, a woman will look at you like, wow, he knows who he is. Let's learn ourselves again. Let me go back to the things now. When we do things that stop us from getting to the levels, here's the mission, right? Let's say it's a 100-meter sprint. My guy here, he's a runner, so he understands this. 100-yard sprint, right? 100 yards. If I took a car, a train, a bus, and give me something else, another vehicle, a plane, and put them all in my path to my 100-yard sprint, wouldn't it be hard for me to get there? Why is that? Too much obstacles in the way. It's the things we do that put obstacles in our own way. And a lot of people don't see that they're the ones putting the obstacles in their own way. We understand you grew up in the hood, but you do not have to be a victim of the hood. Make the hood a victim of you. Let me say that again. You do not have to be a victim of the hood. Make the hood a victim of you. Show the hood that you're bigger than it. The hood is a place. And it's not your mentality. By allowing your mentality to become the hood, that's how you lose. You're bigger than the hood. You're bigger than your environment. Somebody on this live right now, and I want you to say, I am bigger than my neighborhood. My neighborhood can't hold me because I know I'm bigger than it. It's only a couple of blocks. Don't allow yourself to have that 5-block radius mentality. 5 blocks. You'll build a box. 5 blocks radius mentality. Because you're comfortable in that box. We're too comfortable with accepting failure. We did the people. We did the things. And what is the last one? Places. If you go to environments that allow you to only get to certain places in life, your mentality will only believe that you can get to certain places. Why is that? Because it's designed like that. Certain neighborhoods are only allowing you to get to the certain area. You know, one thing I will say was amazing? My mother, I felt like she was a psychologist. I felt like she studied the human brain. My mother used to take us out the bad neighborhood and take us to the nice neighborhood to go to the laundromat. And I used to ask my mom all the time, why do you take us to this better laundromat when we're comfortable with the laundromat in the hood? My mom said, by being exposed, the mind will expand. If the mind isn't exposed, the mind will not expand. Exposure leads to expansion, and the mind will not expand if the mind isn't exposed. And most people aren't exposed, so therefore they won't expand. It's like a rubber band. They don't stretch to their capabilities because it takes 2 hands to stretch the rubber band. And the mind has to be stretched in order for it to grow. But most people won't allow themselves to be stretched. So what they do is they stay in this 5-block radius that keeps them content to comfortability. Comfortability is your worst enemy. Let's say that on record, guys. Comfortability is your worst enemy. Because the comfortableness is what's allowing you to stay where you are. Stop allowing yourself to be comfortable. Even in a relationship, you can't get too comfortable. It's always got to work. Even in a friendship, you can't get too comfortable. It's always work. And that's what you have to understand. Comfortable is the reason why most people will never become great. Why is that? We allow ourselves to stay in environments, go around the same people that's content. Notice, there's an old saying. If you're having the same negative conversations every day, you're going to get the same negative results. This is the bad habit. Let's break this habit. Let's allow ourselves to challenge ourselves to be greater. Let's stop making excuses. Let's learn that you are your biggest fan, but you're also your biggest critic. Stop allowing yourself to fall victim to yourself by putting things in your way that we already knew exist before you were born. Some people were born at bad circumstances, but yet still they do things that's keeping them even further back in the race. Stop second-guessing yourself. Stop allowing yourself to wonder what if when you're not even willing to do the if part. You're saying what if? If, just do it. Just go do it. Let's make tomorrow a better day. Let's stop making excuses. Right? Let's break these bad habits. I want everybody to say this one more time. Right? By waking up today, I want everyone to say this and understand. You are the curse breaker. You're the curse breaker. You're the one that came to break the curse. A lot of us come from generational curse. I don't care if you white. I don't care if you black. I don't care if you blue. I don't care if you green. A lot of us come from generational curse. I'll give you some curses. Just because you're white don't mean you can't deal with divorce. Just because you're white don't mean you can't deal with cancer. Just because you're white don't, we all go through the same problems, guys. Right? There are a lot of unhealthy white marriages, black marriages. Come on. We have the same issues. Let's normalize certain thinking. Let's break these curses. Let's allow ourselves to become our better selves by challenging ourselves to be our better selves. Let's stop making excuses. The only man or woman that's in the mirror is the person that's in your way. Is the guy who says, I can't, he won't. Is the woman who says, I can't, she won't. As long as you keep saying those things, you won't. And that's the truth of the fact. Become your greatest self by being in the right places, doing the right things, and going around the right people. You'll never become your greatest self by being in the wrong places. Till next time, guys, do me a favor. Don't let that go over your head.